Heartwarming discovery. A billionaire's incredible choice transforms his life on a stormy night. The storm raged outside the vast, cold walls of Joshua Miller's mansion. Rain battered the windows with a furious intensity, a relentless reminder of the tempestuous atmosphere he felt brewing within himself. He was a billionaire, yes, but that night he felt more like a ghost. Gazing down from his grand balcony, he watched Maplewood, the small town he once loved, thrash beneath torrents of rain. Families huddled together, moving with purpose, while he remained an isolated figure in his opulent prison. Observing life slip through his fingers with every flash of lightning, he could make out the frantic energy of his neighbors, veterans, single parents, and elderly couples, rushing to help each other. They carried children to safety, distributed blankets, and shouted words of comfort across the chaos. Joshua's chest tightened. He felt the weight of missed connections, the emptiness of his wealth. It was a two-edged sword, connecting him to things he didn't need while severing ties to what mattered most. Then reality struck like thunder. Who was he? The ambitious kid with dreams? Or a husk draped in riches? Fear gripped him, but it was quickly consumed by a longing, a yearning to belong again. Suddenly, staring down at the rushing waters, he was overcome by an urge to leap, to shed the layers of his loneliness. Could he really step out beyond the barriers that wealth had built? It felt crazy, but what was life if he held fast to his gilded solitude? In that moment, he remembered the laughter, the dreams of his youth, nights spent planning adventures with friends. He slipped on a raincoat and dashed into the storm, adrenaline pumping, dismissing the frigid waters that would chill him to the bone. As he plunged into the chaos, the world transformed around him. The shackles of isolation fell away. This was purpose. Through the icy current, Joshua fought against the water, determination guiding him toward a car trapped in rising floodwaters, a family inside, faces etched with fear. The adrenaline surged inside him, fueling his every movement as he swam closer. Each stroke pushed back years of regret, guilt, and shame, reminding him that he was capable of change, capable of being more than just a billionaire lost in the shadows. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Joshua reached the family and fought desperately against the force of the water, pulling them to safety. Their eyes filled with gratitude, their shaky breaths no longer echoes of despair, but fluttering wings of hope. In that moment, he felt the warmth of humanity, an embrace stronger than any financial contract he'd ever signed. As dawn broke, revealing a drenched but resilient Maplewood, the townsfolk began to rise from the shadows of the storm. They saw him, not as the billionaire with the ghostly presence, but as a man who had leaped into frigid waters for them, a man who tasted a flicker of redemption. Still, as the reality settled in, Joshua faced a new storm. Would they accept him, or would he forever be the outsider who had let wealth build barriers between them? Hope hung raw in the morning air, but uncertainty gnawed at him, as did the recognition of the long road still ahead. Would his night of courage truly be enough to mend years of isolation? Or were the walls he built around himself too strong to dismantle? As the sun emerged, casting a hesitant glow over Maplewood, Joshua stood on the edge of the crowd, still shaken by the earlier chaos. His heart raced, not just from the cold that seeped through his clothes, but from the thrill of reconnecting, even if just for a moment. Around him, grateful townsfolk hugged family members and friends, sharing stories of bravery. They laughed and cried, embracing each other, while Joshua remained on the periphery. Each time someone glanced his way, his heart beat faster. Would they see him as a hero, or would they only remember the years he spent avoiding them? A woman named Claire, whom he remembered from his childhood, approached him. Her brown curls bounced with every determined step. "Joshua," she exclaimed, her eyes alight with surprise. You jumped in there for them." He nodded, speechless. The warmth of her smile broke through the cold remnants of fear and uncertainty clinging to him like the rain-soaked clothes he wore. "You saved my sister," she continued, tears pooling in her eyes. "Thank you." Her words took root in his chest, spread warmth throughout his entire being, and ignited something powerful. He was no longer just a bystander. He was a part of their lives, if only temporarily. "I couldn't just stand by," he finally said, his voice barely above a whisper. "I had to do something." As the rescue teams arrived, more townspeople filled the square, replacing any sense of solitude with a collective energy, restoring the broken fabric of their community. Joshua marveled at their resilience. Yet, amidst laughter and relief, doubt pulsed in him. Could he truly belong? Could he bridge the divide that years of neglect had wrought? A moment later, a girl, no older than 8, peeked from behind her motherless leg, her big eyes searching for answers. "Are you really a billionaire?" she asked incredulously. The question struck Joshua unexpectedly. "Yeah, I used to be," he replied, his heart aching a little at the thought. "But that doesn't really matter anymore. Does it? I'm just me." She frowned, confused. "But you're supposed to be special, like in the movies." He chuckled softly, realizing how much he had taken for granted. "Special doesn't mean pretty houses, sweetheart. It's about what we do for one another." Her little nod of understanding made him feel grounded, as if each word was pulling him closer into this world he had neglected. Just then, a man approached. It was Thomas, his former business partner, a man he hadn't seen in years. "Joshua," he said, concern etched on his weathered face. "You're all right? We were worried when you didn't show up for the meeting." Joshua's chest tightened at the mention of business, the life he'd escaped from so easily just hours prior. "Honestly, I think I've been a fool," he said, realizing how true those words felt. "Being here tonight, I see what I've been missing." "And what's that?" Thomas asked, his brow furrowed. "Connection," Joshua admitted. "I need to do more than just make money. I need to make a difference." The words hung in the air, causing Thomas to look at him thoughtfully. Joshua felt a surge of determination. He could change, not just for himself but for Maplewood, for the people he had neglected for so long. That as the crowd around him began to grow louder, a newfound energy sparked in his heart. Maybe, just maybe, he could use his resources for more than just himself. He looked around at the faces of his neighbors, sensing a shared heartbeat. There were stories yet to be told, connections waiting to be forged. The question lingered as he stood before the townsfolk. How would he begin to mend the wounds of his past? The weight of the future loomed ahead of him, but for the first time, the thought inspired hope instead of fear. What would he sacrifice to truly belong? With the sun finally breaking through the storm clouds, he took a step forward, ready for what lay ahead. The warmth of the sun was a stark contrast to the chill Joshua had felt just hours earlier. He stood among the crowd, absorbed in the laughter and chatter surrounding him. But amidst this bustle, he felt a subtle tension building inside himself. The connection, that fleeting moment of bravery, now felt like a gentle weight pushing him forward, urging him to act. "Can I share something?" he called out, surprising even himself. The crowd grew quiet, eyes shifting toward him, questioning and hopeful. His heart pounded. He had never been one for public speaking, yet here he was. "I know I've been away for so long," he began, the words tumbling out in a rush. "I wasn't here when you needed us, when you needed me. But standing here tonight, I see the heart of Maplewood. I see you." He paused, drawing in a deep breath. "And I want to be part of it again." Claire stepped closer, her eyes sparkling with encouragement. "We'd love to have you, Joshua. It's not too late." Her words ignited something inside him, and he felt the weight of doubt begin to lift. He had spent years building walls around himself, convinced that wealth and success would protect him. But facing this warmth, this community, it was clear that those walls only isolated him. "Maybe it's time for me to put my resources to better use," he realized aloud. "There are families here, needs that go beyond what I can see. I want to help rebuild this community to give back in the way I've taken. There was a moment of silence, and then a ripple of approval spread through the crowd, a collective nod to his newfound resolve. Joshua could see the change in their expressions. For the first time, he felt a surge of emotional clarity. The little girl had been right. He wasn't just Joshua the billionaire anymore. He was Joshua, a neighbor, a friend. He could be something more. As he continued to speak, the crowd was drawn in. He talked about creating programs for local youth, supporting local businesses, and uplifting those who had struggled in the recent storms both in nature and in spirit. Ideas flowed as easily as the laughter around him. Despite his growing excitement, a thought nagged at him. Hadn't he failed before? What if he stumbled again? I don't know what I'm doing, he admitted, his voice holding a whisper of vulnerability. But I'm willing to learn. You guys have made me feel welcomed again, and I want to do my part. A supportive murmur surged through the crowd. Their faces softened, a mix of understanding and encouragement. He could feel their resolve, and it strengthened his own. Just as he finished speaking, a voice piped up from the back of the crowd. What about the school? The roof needs repairs. It was a young mother, her face shining with determination. If we band together, we can get it done. Yes, Joshua exclaimed, feeling a rush of excitement. Let us gather a team, raise some funds, fix the school. It's a start. As ideas flowed, hands raised to volunteer. The sun continued to sink, leaving a palette of vibrant colors streaked across the sky. A plan was blossoming, and for Joshua, the weight of isolation lifted, replaced by the tethering of hope and purpose. Just then, Thomas, who had remained silent, stepped forward again. I have some resources we can leverage, he said, the corners of his mouth lifting with a hint of gratitude. It's time to restore what we have lost. Together, the crowd erupted in cheers. But just as the celebration began, Joshua's mind was racing. What would this mean for his future? Could he truly commit to such a profound shift? And as he glanced at Claire, her presence reassuring, one thought carved through the whirlwind. What would he need to sacrifice to fully embrace this new path ahead? The sun dipped below the horizon, casting shadows, but Joshua felt a new light illuminating his path. The question now was, would he have the courage to follow it? Joshua stood at the edge of the crowd, his heart still racing from the exhilaration of his speech. Just moments ago, he had transformed from a distant figure into a participant in this tight-knit community. Yet, even as the excitement hung in the air, doubts lurked at the fringes of his mind. What if he wasn't enough? What if his efforts fell flat? As the sun faded, the first stars twinkled above like distant hopes. Joshua's gaze shifted to those gathered around him. Laughter and enthusiasm filled the space, but he caught sight of Claire, her face glowing with belief in him. It made a knot form in his throat. He had always been the giver, the one with the answers. Now, for the first time, he was facing the possibility of being open to vulnerability and connection. All right, everyone, let us gather in groups and brainstorm what we can do. Claire's voice rang out, strong and filled with energy, cutting through his apprehension like the light of the moon breaking through the clouds. The crowd buzzed with chatter as people split into small circles, some discussing fundraising ideas while others shared thoughts on volunteers needed for the school. Joshua found himself standing a few feet away from Claire, lost in thought, when she gently nudged his arm. Hey, think about what ideas you want to pitch. This is your chance to make a real impact. She encouraged, her smile infectious. Right, he replied, forcing a grin to mask his uncertainty. I really want to do this right. Claire's expression softened. You are already doing it. Just being here is a big step. Trust yourself. Her words settled around him like a warm blanket. Maybe he could trust himself again. He turned back to the groups, hearing snippets of their laughter and cooperation. The air was electric with possibility. It dawned on him that he wasn't just working to mend school roofs. They were mending hearts, his included. He drifted towards a group that was brainstorming ideas for activities to engage the local youth. A tall man named Marcus was taking charge, passionately explaining his vision for a community sports league. Joshua felt drawn to the energy. "I love that idea," he interrupted, hoping his voice carried enough conviction. "What if we organized monthly tournaments? We could invite local businesses to sponsor teams, creating opportunities for everyone involved." Heads turned toward him, eyes wide with intrigue. His heart swelled as enthusiasm erupted around him. Ideas bounced back and forth, igniting adrenaline in his veins. Suddenly, he was part of something that felt genuine and alive. As the night wore on, plans solidified. They formed committees, assigned roles, and mapped out steps to raise funds. With every passing moment, Joshua felt the grip of isolation loosening. But just when the tide of exhilaration seemed endless, a single thought swept over him like a cold wave crashing against the shore. Would people truly believe in him? Could he be more than just a name or a wallet to them? While he held on to new friendships and laughter, those familiar doubts returned like unwelcome guests. The energy shifted as a latecomer joined their circle, a wiry young girl with confident strides. With bright eyes, she spoke up, "I heard about the school. Let us not forget the kids. They should be part of this. They can help too." Her words sparked inspiration, igniting a passionate response from the crowd. "Exactly," Joshua shouted, lifted by the fire of her spirit. "We can create a youth council." As the idea gained momentum, Joshua found himself sinking deeper into hope. Clarity washed over him. This was not just about him anymore. It was about all of them. He looked around, each face radiating potential, empathy, and belonging. Among them was Claire, her gaze steady and unwavering, and he realized something vital: this was not merely a project. It was a transformation. But just when he thought he had a grasp on his path forward, he felt an unfamiliar chill. This journey ahead was peppered with the unknown, and the uncertainty loomed large. Would the community truly accept him? The thought pressed on his mind, heavy and persistent, as if echoing amidst the cheer. Tomorrow would bring its own challenges, but one thing was clear. He couldn't turn back now. With determination bubbling within him, Joshua took a deep breath, silently vowing to confront whatever lay ahead. As he glanced at the girl who had sparked an idea, he couldn't help but wonder what other surprises and challenges awaited them as they began to rebuild everything they had lost. The next day dawned bright and crisp, the air humming with the promise of new beginnings. Joshua stepped outside, feeling a sense of responsibility weighing on his shoulders. The meetings from the night before echoed in his mind, the hope and excitement palpable. Yet, as he made his way through the town, a nagging doubt settled in his gut. Could he really lead these people? Could he be the person they needed? He arrived at the school, the heart of their efforts, and found a swarm of activity as volunteers shuffled supplies, energized by the community spirit. Claire stood at the center, directing everyone with a warmth that brought light to the room. Seeing her there, he felt a flicker of courage. "Morning, Joshua," she called out, her voice bright against the fray of chatter. "Ready to dive in?" "Yeah, let us do this," he answered, his heart racing. He moved closer, joining a group that was sorting through old athletic equipment. As he helped, he couldn't help but overhear snippets of conversation about hopes and dreams for the community. "Can you believe we're making this happen?" one woman said, her voice bubbling with excitement. "This is going to change everything." The buzz around him filled Joshua with a mix of hope and fear. He set down the gear he was sorting through, gripping the edge of the table. What if their dreams fell apart? What if he failed them? "Hey, you okay?" Claire's gentle voice broke through his spiraling thoughts. "Yeah, just thinking," Joshua confessed, forcing a smile. "Don't let fear creep in," she advised, her eyes serious but kind. "You've already inspired so many. Just look around. They believe in this. They believe in you." Taking a moment to absorb her words, Joshua felt a surge of gratitude. This was more than just a project. It was a lifeline. Suddenly, the world outside felt bigger, layered with possibilities. As they worked, Joshua began to see faces, children's faces flashing in his imagination. Faces filled with joy, laughter, and hope turned to him. What if they could create an environment for them to thrive? Twists of laughter erupted from the kids, Motivational chants at tournaments. The thought grounded him. Then, just as the excitement peaked, Claire brought forth a new idea. Let us host a community event next month. A celebration of what we're starting. It'll be a fundraiser, but also a way to bring everyone together. Joshua's heart did a leap. He immediately saw the event in his mind. Music, laughter, families coming together. That could be huge. Imagine the partnerships, he exclaimed, envisioning local businesses getting involved and kids showcasing their talents. As the momentum climbed with more volunteers joining the conversation, Joshua spotted the same wiry girl from the night before standing quietly to one side. He wanted to bring her into the discussion, to see the spark in her eyes ignite again. Hey, he called her over, and she instinctively stepped forward. What do you think we should include for the kids at the event? She lit up. We could have sports games, maybe a talent show. I could ask my friends to perform. Perfect, Joshua said, the energy flowing through him. What had once seemed like an unsteady venture now felt tangible, vibrant, and full of life. He could see this community growing. It was infectious. But then a shadow crossed his mind again. What if they didn't reach enough people? What if the turnout was dismal? Suddenly, the nervousness seeped back in. Could he truly hold this fragile excitement together? The moment of truth loomed on the horizon. As he stood surrounded by newfound friends, he caught Claire's gaze, the unwavering belief spilling over like light. Would they stand together through challenges? Would they truly create a space for healing and growth? Or would fear tear it all apart? Joshua took a breath, his heart determined to embrace whatever lay ahead. The community had rallied around him, and he owed it to them and to himself to ensure this blossomed. But just as he began to feel confident, a loud crack of thunder rumbled through the sky. A storm was brewing. Overhead, the shifting winds brought a chill, and the energy around them shifted from excitement to anxiety. What did this storm mean for their plans? As the first drops of rain began to fall, Joshua couldn't shake the feeling that something monumental was about to unfold, something that could either tear them apart or bring them together like never before. The rain began lightly, a soft patter that quickly escalated into a steady downpour. People rushed to cover the equipment, their laughter turning to hurried shouts. Joshua felt a knot tighten in his stomach. Let us move everything to the gym, Claire shouted over the worsening storm. We can set up inside. Joshua sprang into action, grabbing stacks of supplies alongside others. The urgency propelled him forward, but his mind was still clouded with dread. It wasn't just the rain that loomed. Uncertainty about the event clung to him like a heavy fog's rain pelted down outside. The atmosphere inside shifted to one of frantic energy. People worked together, smiles replaced by focus, but he could sense the tension beneath the surface. Would they be able to pull this off even with the elements against them? Hey, you got this, Claire said, sidling up to him as he stood near the gym entrance. Her hair was damp, sticking to her forehead, but her spirit radiated. We'll make it work. Yeah, but what if the storm keeps people away? Joshua replied, biting his lip. What if we don't raise the money we need? Claire paused, her eyes locking onto his. Joshua, we have something special. This community wants what we're building. Even if it's pouring outside, they'll show up for each other. They'll show up for you. Her confidence seeped into him, a warm glow pushing through the chill of fear. Maybe she was right. He remembered the excitement of last night's meeting, the determination in the room. They weren't just here for an event. They were here for connection, for each other. Scurrying to help, he noticed the wiry girl again. She was now organizing a small group of kids, rallying them like an impromptu cheer squad. Her eyes shone with enthusiasm, undaunted by the rain. Okay, everyone, she called out. Let us get ready to show everyone what we've got. Who's excited? A wave of cheer erupted in response. Joshua's heart lifted. Here they were, the very essence of community, looking past the storm to what lay ahead. As the last items were brought inside, the gym echoing with laughter and chatter, Joshua found a sense of clarity. If they could keep this spirit alive, maybe the storm didn't matter after all. He glanced over at Claire, who was already strategizing with others about setting up booths and showcasing talents. "Looks like we're moving forward," he shouted, the thrill coursing through him. "Let us make this a night they won tea forget rain and all." The crowd buzzed with renewed excitement, and Joshua felt a pulse of determination surge through him. They had made it this far together, and he wouldn't let fear hold them back now. As they arranged everything, the storm raged outside, creating a rink of echoes that accompanied their busyness. The sound was almost metallic, a raw reminder of the world outside. People laughed, chatted, their voices weaving a tapestry of resilience. Suddenly, the lights flickered. The overhead bulbs dimmed for a moment before stabilizing, but a collective gasp filled the room. Joshua's stomach dropped. "This ice and tea good, stay calm," Claire shouted, her voice a grounding force. Everyone looked to her, finding comfort in her demeanor. "We can still make this happen. Trust in each other." But as the skies unleashed more against the building, Joshua couldn't shake the feeling that they were on the precipice of something even bigger. Was the storm testing them or guiding them? In the distance, a gust of wind rattled the doors, and a loud clap of thunder shook the gym. Joshua felt the urge to retreat, to hide from the chaos outside. But something within him pulled him forward, urging him to stay, to face whatever storm might follow. He locked eyes with the wiry girl again, whose smile hadn't wavered. In that moment he knew, this was about more than a fundraiser. It was about the connections forged in the midst of turmoil. Yet, as the energy surged, an unexpected thought struck him: what if they had prepared for this storm, but a greater challenge was ahead? The realization left him breathless. The true test of their gathering had yet to reveal itself. What lies beyond this night, and how would it change them all? Joshua pushed that thought aside for now, focusing on the warmth that surrounded him. They were in this together, storm or no storm. But deep down, an unsettling sensation whispered that the tempest outside was just the beginning. The flickering lights cast dancing shadows across the gym, and the buzzing chatter continued. But beneath it was the strange melody of uncertainty. Joshua pushed through the crowd, his heart pounding in time with the unrelenting rain. The gym felt both alive and fragile, like the calm before an inevitable storm. "Let us check the sound system," Claire called, her voice slicing through the buzz. Joshua nodded, following her toward the hardwired boxes that held wires like tangled roots. It was confusing chaos, much like his mind. As they reached the stage area, Joshua caught sight of the wiry girl again. She was still rallying kids who had formed into teams, their youthful laughter bubbling over like raindrops on a surface. They were brainstorming talent showcases, hidden gems within them just waiting for the chance to shine. "Come on, everyone. What's your best talent? Dance? Sing?" she shouted, beaming at the kids. With each suggestion, they bounced in excitement, their joy infectious. Joshua's heart swelled. If they could find joy here, amidst the storm, couldn't he too? "All right, guys," Claire interjected. "Let us get organized. We need volunteers for the booths, we need more lighting, and we definitely need a backup plan if the power goes out." Joshua found himself pulled into the enthusiasm around him, laughter mixing with electric anticipation. It felt like the storm outside was pushing them closer together, urging them to find strength in each other. He moved swiftly, setting up tables with Claire, their teamwork seamless. Every completed booth felt like a small victory against the pouring rain outside. He felt the weight of his earlier doubts lifting, replaced by a sense of purpose. But as the energy soared, a distant rumble of thunder became more pronounced, reverberating through the gym's walls, sending an odd shiver up his spine. It was like the world outside was trying to remind them of its power, an unwelcome guest at their party. Then, another wave of darkness, lights flickering once more. Murmurs of concern rippled through the crowd. Claire's reassuring presence anchored him, her vibrant spirit shining even brighter in the gloom. "Hey," she yelled, clapping her hands together. "Let us keep that energy up. Lightning can't stop us. We're here, we've got this." And just then, a transformed boy stepped forward, taking that spark and running with it. He raised his hands, and the laughter erupted again. Joshua felt a swell of pride from the camaraderie, the very essence of community at play. He remembered the earlier fear, and it melted away. But a flash outside drew their attention. Joshua stiffened, his pulse quickening. The storm's true fury was in sight, and panic nearly crept in when he saw the shadows outside change shape, limbs waving wildly. A group was heading straight toward the gym, figures cloaked in rain gear, but there was no mistaking their intent. His heart thumped. Who were they? Were they friends seeking refuge, or something else entirely? Behind him, Claire had shifted her focus. Let us keep the spirit alive. Keep those smiles and let us welcome everyone who comes in. Her voice was steady, light, but Joshua could sense her own concern beneath the surface. As the figures drew closer, leaving puddles in their wake, Joshua found himself torn. Was this another challenge brought by the storm, or an unexpected ally in the fight to keep the community strong? Could this gathering withstand whatever would unfold next? The gym buzzed with the current of growing anticipation, and as the door swung open, a new chapter was about to begin. Who or what would step into the light in a moment that could shift everything? The door creaked open, and the figures stepped inside, shaking off the rain like drenched dogs. Joshua squinted, his heart racing as he tried to make out their faces. The first person in was a young man, tall and broad-shouldered, his hair matted against his forehead. Beside him, an older woman clutched a child, who instinctively hid behind her leg, peeking out at the unfamiliar surroundings. "Welcome," Claire's voice rang out, bright and hopeful, cutting through the tension that hung in the air like fog. The room turned to them, an array of curious faces drawn to the newcomers. "You're safe here. Come in." Joshua felt a conflicting swirl of emotions, fear of what might come next, and a spark of protectiveness for this collective effort they were all part of. He looked at Claire, whose smile radiated warmth and confidence. She exuded a sense of safety that Joshua hoped would quiet the rising unease in everyone's hearts. "Are you okay?" Joshua asked, stepping forward. The tall man nodded, catching his breath. "Just trying to escape the storm. We didn't expect the roads to be this flooded," he replied, shaking droplets from his jacket. "I'm Mike, and this is my mother, and my sister, Lily." Lily peeked out, her curious eyes scanning the vibrant energy in the gym, momentarily forgetting her fear. Joshua felt an impulse to reassure her. "What's your favorite talent?" he asked, kneeling down to her height. "We're having a show tonight." Lily's eyes lit up with excitement. "I can draw," she blurted, and Joshua's heart soared at the sparkle returning to her face. "Perfect. We'd love to see your drawings," Claire encouraged, her voice full of genuine interest. The crowd began to buzz with renewed excitement, and Joshua could feel the tension around him dissipating as kids started asking the newcomers about their talents. Eager curiosity replacing initial wariness. "Is there enough room?" Anne asked, her voice laced with concern. "Of course," Claire answered. "We have plenty of space. Help us make this night special for everyone." The rain pounded on the roof outside, almost like a drumbeat urging them on. The storm may have raged on beyond those gym doors, but within these walls, something beautiful was being built. Joshua, spurred by a newfound energy, turned back to help with the setup, but not without catching Micah's eye. "Do you play an instrument?" Joshua asked, sensing a kindred spirit in Mike. "Guitar," he replied, a hint of pride shining through. "Join us," Joshua said, feeling the synergy shift. Music could really bring us together. Everyone could use some of that tonight. As Mike nodded, the atmosphere transformed from uncertainty to collaboration. They began to organize different stations for performances, and Claire was right there, animatedly sketching plans in a notebook. Suddenly, another thunderclap echoed, jolting them. Everyone paused, and an anxious murmur rippled through the gym again. Joshua broke the tension intentionally. "Okay, who can make the loudest clap? Let us drown out the thunder." Laughter erupted as hands raised, trying to compete with the wild storm outside. Joshua smiled, feeling the strength of the community warm him, a shared experience uniting them in that moment. But as they continued to compete, Lily tugged on his sleeve. "What about the lights?" she asked, her voice small against the noise. Joshua jerked his head toward the flickering lights overhead and felt the weight of her words. The storm was relentless. What if they cut out completely? Darkness swallowed them, leaving only the dull hum of concern. Uneasiness pooled in Joshua's stomach. He realized they were not just organizing a talent show, they were creating a lifeline in the chaos. Would their little sanctuary hold against the storm's wrath? Joshua held on to hope, even as he felt the shadows of uncertainty creeping back in. What was waiting for them on the other side of this night? The first dance was a hit, the kids twirling and laughing, swept up in the moment. Claire clapped along while Joshua strummed the guitar Mike had managed to bring in from the rain. The music fluttered around them, competing with the roar of the storm outside. But then, another fierce clap of thunder crashed through the gym, rattling the windows and sending a shiver of fear through the crowd. Joshua saw the expressions change, shadows flickering back into their eyes. It was hard to shake the dread of nature's fury outside, especially as the lights flickered again, then dimmed more noticeably, casting long shadows across the room. "Maybe we should turn off the main lights," Claire suggested, her voice steady, but Joshua caught the edge of worry there. "It might help preserve power. We can use flashlights and candles instead." "Good idea," Joshua said, trying to sound calm. He felt a pull to take charge, to be the anchor in the chaos. They quickly gathered candles and flashlights, placing them around the gym to create a cozy, flickering glow. Lily tugged at Joshua's sleeve again. "Can we see my drawings now?" she whispered, excitement mixed with apprehension. People were eager for something to distract them from the storm, and Joshua saw the opportunity. "Of course," he said, inviting her to a clear space at the front. "Show us what you've got, Lily." As the crowd adjusted to the dim light, Lily stood up, shyly holding her sketches close to her chest. When she finally revealed them, her drawings shined with childlike joy. They were vibrant colors swirling together, capturing worlds only she could see. There were animals, swirls of rain, magic castles, each piece an escape from the rain hammering against the gym walls. "Wow!" gasps filled the room. Claire knelt beside Lily, pointing at the drawings with genuine amazement. "These are incredible. You've captured so much emotion in them. You're a real artist." Joshua watched as confidence filled Lily's face. The storm faded into the background as she began to explain her artwork, her voice gaining strength. In that moment, all fears were held at bay. But a sudden silence fell as the lights blinked once more, then flickered out completely. Darkness enveloped the gym, save for the warm glow of candles. Joshua's heart raced. He could sense the anxiety creeping back. "Let us try something," he said, his breath shaky but resolved. "Everyone, pick a partner, and let us make some noise. Clap, stomp, shout. We'll show that storm we're not afraid." The gym exploded into sound, laughter mixing with claps and stomps, filling the void left by the darkness. Joshua joined in, the rhythm creating a pulse of defiance against the storm outside. In that instant, nothing mattered but the noise they made together. But in the chaos, he noticed Mike. He stood at a distance, watching, an unreadable expression on his face. There was a flicker of something deep in his eyes, concern or fear. Joshua didn't know. He felt the urge to reach out, to connect through the raging storm. "Come on, Mike," he shouted, beckoning him over. "Bring your guitar and play along with me. Let us drown out the thunder." But Mike hesitated, staring into the dark, his hands fiddling nervously at his sides. Was he grappling with fear, or was there something else beneath the surface? The atmosphere was electric, the energy infectious, yet there lingered an undercurrent of uncertainty. As laughter continued to fill the space, Joshua couldn't shake the weight of impending darkness both outside and perhaps within Mike. What was keeping everyone at bay? How could they transform the storm, both inside and out, into something more than just fear? Joshua felt the question hang in the air, waiting to be answered, like the storm threatening to break loose again. What would it take to find the light in all this darkness? The sounds of laughter, clapping, and stomping enveloped Joshua in a cocoon of warmth, but shadows still lingered at the edges of his mind. The storm outside continued to rage, clashing violently against the sanctity they were creating within. Each flicker of candlelight felt like a heartbeat, and for a brief moment, he believed that they could weather anything as long as they were together. "Keep it going," Joshua shouted, encouraging energy over fear. But deep down, he could feel the weight of uncertainty gathering like clouds above, threatening to burst. The lights had gone out, but the flickering flames somehow made their resolve stronger. This was their moment. "Mike, buddy," Joshua called out again, stepping into the dimness until he could see the outline of his new friend. "We need your music. Come on, let us lift them higher." Mike hesitated but finally lifted his guitar, stepping forward into the light of the candles. There was a collective breath of anticipation as everyone turned their gaze toward him. Then, he broke into a soft tune, a melody filled with hope that wrapped around the room like a warm embrace. It was clear that both Joshua and Mike needed this moment, both as a symbol of their bond and as an affirmation of growth. As the notes drifted through the gym, the atmosphere shifted. The tension began to ease, replaced by a sense of unity. Joshua joined in with a few verses, his voice trembling but growing steadier as he felt the community joining in. The rhythm echoed with every note, reminding them of their strength. "Now, I want to hear everyone's voices," Claire shouted, her joyful spirit infectious. "Raise your voices together." The once lurking shadows began to dissipate as the attendees shouted their lyrics, breaking free from the confines of doubt. The music, laughter, and shouts rang through the building, drowning out the storm and forging bonds they'd long been missing. Lily's face brightened, and she jumped in with her own chorus, adding a line about rainbows. "Happiness will come," she sang, and for a heartbeat, the entire gym sang her words back. It was a beautiful, unified statement against the chaos outside, a reminder that even storms would pass, and color would return. Joshua closed his eyes, letting the music surround him. He felt more than just unity, he felt alive. The storm may have been doing its worst outside, but inside, they were conquering fears and opening hearts. With every passing minute, he saw the faces around him transform, reflecting the promise of connection and hope that he yearned to restore. As the song came to an end, applause erupted around them. Mike beamed, but it was the sight of Claire, joyful and proud, that truly anchored him. That moment surged into another, and he felt a swell of gratitude for everyone who chose vulnerability over fear. "Thank you, everyone. You're amazing," he said, his voice breaking slightly as he scanned their joyful faces. "None of this would be possible without your courage and heart." But just then, there was a rumble louder than before. A surge of wind rattled the doors, and the lights flickered threateningly. The breath of the room shifted. Worry embroidered itself back into the seams of their celebration, pulling the energy back down. "It's okay. We're ready for this," Claire urged, her voice cutting through the uncertainty. "Stay focused on each other. Remember why we're here." A murmur of agreement spread through the crowd, a unified thread weaving them back together. Joshua caught Mike's gaze once more. "Stay with us," he urged softly, aware of the lingering storm in both their worlds. "You belong here, too." It was in that moment, with all eyes on him, that Mike found his voice once again. "Let us keep playing, no matter what," he shouted, confidence blooming from within. In a flash, Mike strummed the guitar loudly, calling everyone back into the moment. Joshua joined once more, feeling as if they were not just participants but co-authors of something profound, something healing that transcended his past. The lights flickered but held steady this time, as if the heartbeat of their collective effort pushed back against the storm outside. "Yeah," Joshua echoed. "Let us sing. Let us show this storm who we are." With laughter and hope spilling from their lips, they sang anew, the music a beacon against the darkness threatening to envelop them. They felt indomitable together, pushing away fear, abandoning silence, embracing vulnerability as they sang. The rhythm of community pulsed through him, their voices a blend of unity, love, and understanding. When the storm breaks, Joshua declared, driving home their sentiment, "We'll be standing together, ready to face whatever comes next." The storm may have raged on outside, but unified in song, laughter, and support. They knew their connection would weather any tempest. Together, they rise and shine anew, turning the storm into a beautiful memory sewn into the fabric of their community. When the final notes echoed away, they erupted into cheers. Whatever awaited them would be faced as one united, transformed, and stronger than ever before as the night took root. Joshua gazed at the crowd brimming with resilience and the heart of Maplewood. His chest swelled with pride and joy. The storm had been fierce, but so was their spirit, and he knew now that he was home. "You have to promise me something," he turned to Claire. "No letting go. Let us keep moving forward together." "Always," Claire responded, her smile as radiant as the sun peeking through the dissipating clouds. And so, with heartbeats intertwined, they began to plan their next steps, ready to rewrite the story of Maplewood hand in hand, including every vibrant voice that now felt like part of the family. Now that the journey had truly begun, there was no stopping the transformation unfolding within their hearts as hope illuminated the path ahead. If you've enjoyed this incredible journey, you need to subscribe now to this channel. Don't let another story pass you by. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like for more heartwarming tales. Comment below to share your thoughts and feelings about this Ending Your Voice Matters. And for the love of connection, share this video instantaneously with at least 5 friends who need to feel this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second. You're part of this community too. And together, let us spread this message of hope.